felt a situation, I felt like you needed to do something, tempted to do something which you knew is wrong. Raise your hand if you felt a situation that you knew is wrong. Have you? Yes? We have an honest crowd. Thank you, because I can relate. As a young man living in modern times, navigating through the daily hassles of life could be strenuous. I actually read something online that said, life feels like a test I did not study for. But if you ask me, sometimes life feels like a test I didn't know I was taking. But I'm not complaining. No, sir. Not complaining at all. As a matter of fact, I kind of like the challenge. But there is one issue that I wish I did not have to face. One thing in particular that I wish I did not have to deal with. And that is the desire for women. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am man enough to admit that I simply wish I did not have to deal with the temptation. Now bear with me, I'm going to explain. You see, sometime after I graduated college and started working, it slowly became apparent to me that I had quite a long and overwhelming list of things that I needed to accomplish, and so little time. Now, what does that mean? It means no time for girls. Yes, no time for girls. So I made a pact with myself. By that I mean I made a pact with a part of me that wants to live recklessly. That I was going to stay away from girls until I was ready to get married. Which, by the way, I still am not. Now, my rule was simple. If it's a female and you're not going to marry it, stay the hell away from it. Simple enough, right? Now, obviously, that is easier said than done because we live in a world that oversells the idea of romance for us. I mean, the music that we listen to is about romance. The movies that we watch, the things that we see on social media, it's like the universe doesn't want us to think of anything else but the opposite sex. So I knew I had my work cut out for me. And if I was going to win against these temptations, I needed to put my armor up. So the first thing I decided to do was remove all social media apps from my phone. So Instagram, gone. TikTok, gone. Facebook, gone. I mean, who the hell uses Facebook anyway? So I deleted all social media apps with the exception of Telegram and YouTube. Although I recently discovered that even Telegram now has a story feature. So I guess you could say it's on top of my hit list. Now, I wish I could tell you that distancing myself from the digital world was enough to set me free. But as you can imagine, it wasn't. You see, because I'm constantly surrounded by young, attractive women in real life. And I don't know whether it's because I'm actively trying to avoid them, but the sheer number of women that I come across on a daily basis seems to me significantly higher than that of men. Which is always troublesome, because some women will wear just about anything if it means they can garner the attention of men. And that's not the worst part. This woman will tell you that they dress up for themselves and not for the attention of men. Which is absolute bull crap. I don't buy that for a second. Now, regardless, I try my best. In fact, I try my hardest to stay away from such temptations. But it doesn't always go so well. You see, occasionally, I find myself in situations that are impossible to escape from. I remember a few months ago, I was on my way to work, or on my way to meet someone. I don't remember exactly, but I do remember that I was running a little late. So instead of joining the long line of people desperately waiting for the taxi, I decided to hop onto the backseat of a tiny Lada. Now, a few minutes after I got in, two reasonably attractive young ladies decided to hop onto the Lada as well. And of all the ways we could have sat in that Lada, they got in and decided to sit on either side of me, meaning one on each side. I tried to maintain a composed face, but inside I was screaming, "Why? Why?" Here I am, a guy who was just in a hurry to go to work, and by some sick twist of events, I find myself sandwiched between two attractive young ladies in the backseat of a tiny Lada. As we started to drive off, I couldn't help but think of two things. The first thing I thought was, wow, this is an insane amount of perfume. And the second thing I thought was, is my fantasy coming true? So I started to freak out a bit of it. Needless to say, between the combined smell of their perfumes and my unorthodox thoughts running wild in my head, I felt like I was going to suffocate and die on the spot. Now, I needed to distract myself, so I quickly pulled out my phone and started to fumble with it. But regardless of what was on my phone screen, I just could not stop myself from imagining all the 216 scenarios that could unfold in that tiny box. To say it's one of the longest rides I've ever been in would be the understatement of the century. but we managed to reach our destination before I collapsed on one of them. And as I got out of that ladder, I was filled with an overwhelming sense of relief. Well, A, because I could breathe again, and B, because I was so proud of myself that I was able to keep it in my pants for as long as I had. Now, it's funny the way things work, because the more I wanted to run away from these temptations, it's like the harder they started chasing me. Not long after the ladder incident, I found myself in yet another damnable situation. This time, I was at a bank. I remember I went in there to make some sort of deposit, so I quickly filled out the deposit form and handed it to the teller. And I remember vividly, as I was handing her the form, I noticed that this woman was not wearing any bra. Crazy. True story. So at first I instantly froze because I think my rational brain could not process what I was looking at. And so I actually went into some sort of dramatic slumber and quickly roused myself and confirmed again, yup, she's not wearing any bra. So I quickly decided to look away, and while I was looking away, pretending to think of something else, until she was done doing whatever she was doing, which was taking forever, by the way, as I was looking away, I couldn't help but feel like I was being watched. You know that feeling you get when you're being watched, and you don't know by whom? Now, I know this woman is writing something with her head down on a piece of paper, but I felt like her bazookas were right at me, almost judging me for not looking. It's like they were saying, hey, hello, hey, you know you want to look at us, so why do you deny yourself? I almost turned and said, shut up! I didn't, because that would mean I'd have to look at them again. So I took my receipts while trying my hardest not to look her way, or their way, depending on and I got myself out of there. Now, I wish I could tell you that I found some sort of magic wand that helps me get rid of all of these temptations instantly, but I haven't. In fact, I know I said life feels like a test I didn't know I was taking, but this actually feels like a test I knew I was taking, a test I was well prepared for, but a test I keep failing at. Now, just like anything else, I decided to make my peace with it because I realized that life itself is nothing but an endless tug of war between the things that we want to do, ironically, and the things that we have to do. I found my peace when I realized that life itself is nothing but a game of temptation. That's it.